Hi, I'm here to report on a situation that I am dealing with, which demonstrates to me that Chase Bank is colluding with Cash App to allow fraudsters to complete their fraudulent transactions and take advantage of consumers. Well, I was trying to complete a transaction with someone who purported to be in Oakland, California, and was supposedly selling me some uh, customer job lead information. And for some reason, this person insisted that, first of all, the information be transferred in hard copy, which didn't make a lot of sense to me at the time. And they didn't want to use Venmo to complete the transaction. They only wanted to use Cash App. So immediately some red flags went off. I thought, oh, these people could be fraudsters. So instead of using my bank account through Cash App, I used my credit card and my bank. I completed the transaction. That was on a Friday, and the following Monday, I got a text message uh, from someone purporting to be the person who was completing the shipping, and he was asking me for a huge amount more money for shipping, even though I had already paid for the shipping. So at that point, I realized I was dealing with scammers, and I said, no, you need to simply refund my money. I don't want to complete this transaction. After going back and forth trying to have them put me directly in touch with the shipper so that I could find out exactly what this extra charge was. Um, so they refused. I then went to Cash App to attempt to cancel the transaction, and Cash App does not allow you to do that. Cash App goes to, apparently, their way of working is they go to the person to whom you sent the money and ask them if they can take it back out of their bank account, which makes no sense at all to me, since I was completing a transaction for goods, and my understanding of the Unified Commercial Code is that if you want to cancel a transaction because the contract for the transaction has been violated, one is allowed to do that. However, at this point, I can't get in touch with those people. So the only option I have is to go then to Chase Bank to ask them to cancel the charge on my credit card. Supposedly, they were investigating this for 2 months with Cash App. And what Chase came back to me and said was, well, you completed the transaction with Cash App, so you got what you paid for with Cash App. And I'm like, no, that is not, I did not complete a transaction with Cash App. I used Cash App to complete a transaction with someone who was trying to con me out of money. There's no way to get in touch with Cash App to have that conversation. They do not have anybody to talk to. As a matter of fact, for this consumer, I put through all of the additional stuff that you do when you make a complaint on the website. And they were supposedly, the website tried to then send the information to the contact email address that Cash App publishes. And it's a non-operative email address. So all I can surmise is, first, the banks are colluding to allow Cash App to be a conduit for fraudsters to basically either steal money from people or launder money with banks. And because Chase and Cash App are like that, they have no interest at all in actually examining any of the evidence or information I have to offer them. I have all kinds of information about these people now, which actually Chase Bank furnished me through the little tiny amount of information it gathered from Cash App. I now have the email address and telephone number associated with the bank account that Cash App has. And guess what? Both of them nobody ever uses. The email address is bogus and the telephone number is bogus. So obviously, Cash App has a bogus account on it. I have that information I could offer to Cash App. There's no way to get hold of them. It's obvious to me. That is my complaint. The banks are colluding to basically allow Cash App to be this conduit for dirty money. I'm truly pissed off. So then to a coda to that is I have attempted to make a report about this crime, which has been aided and abetted by both Chase Bank and Cash App, which, by the way, folks, Cash App is a front organization for Square, which is run by the guy that owns Twitter. So there you have it. Jack Casey. It's this is just more of the dirty banking system that is pervasive across the globe and which supposedly here in the United States we have cleaned up. But in reality, we haven't cleaned anything up. And the internet has just made it worse. So I have attempted to report this crime to the FBI. I have heard nothing from the FBI about it because it's probably too small potatoes. They don't really care. I am filing a report with the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, which has been gutted by our current Orange Stains federal, by the current administration in the executive branch. But I'm going to file the complaint. I am looking into filing complaints, whatever banking regulation that both the regulatory agencies over Cash App and over Chase Bank. I don't yet know. I have to. That's a lot of hard information to gather, by the way, folks. Finding out what federal and state agencies are responsible for overseeing these organizations. That information is not easy to find. I've been there, done that already. So I'm in the midst of doing that, but I will make those complaints. I don't have any recourse locally because these people are not local. So but I have already made the what amounts to police report. I don't know of any. I live here in Washington D.C. I have no idea where I could make a police report about this to DC and have it make any sense because the Metropolitan Police Department is a corrupt organization that has, again, no interest in helping individuals who have been defrauded by people outside the District of Columbia, which is a postage stamp sized place. So, I'm not going to pay Chase. I will simply deduct that amount from every bill I receive from them. And if they don't do anything to support me as a customer, I've been with Chase for over 20 years. And as a credit card user, I treat my credit card as a charge card for the most part. I have maybe allowed interest to come on that card 4 times over that period of over 20 years. And so if they start charging me interest on this disputed amount, what I will do is cancel the card. I just will cancel the card and move to another credit card organization. They'll try to screw up my credit reporting and all of that stuff. But at this point in my life, I'm 65. I don't really care. I work. I have plenty of money coming in, so that's not a problem. But the bottom line here is I had the good sense to realize to stop a transaction as it was being completed. And Cash App is set up in a way to ensure that if you even realize that you've been defrauded, you can't stop a transaction in the midst. They don't hold the money at all. They transfer it straight to the receiver's bank account instead of putting a hold on it, which is what they could do until the transaction has been completed. But oh, God forbid they make that complication in the midst of their app. It's obvious. This is just this is a service set up to allow people to be taken by fraudsters, or to allow people to launder money, to complete illegal transactions. So I'm fed up. I'm fed up with the amount of fraud that is allowed in this country. The individual consumers are literally at the mercy of the marketplace in the United States, and that's wrong. We should live in a country, we're supposedly the first country in the free world. And that should mean that we should be able to go online and complete transactions, even with individuals, an individual to individual, in a manner which ensures that the transaction will be completed legally, where it's almost impossible through our systems for someone to defraud someone else. That should be the way it should work here in the United States. And it doesn't. We have a government that encourages fraudsters to complete fraud. I would suggest everybody take the time to read a really good book written several years ago now called Kleptopia. And you get some idea of how crooked our finance system is. I'm an auditor. I'm a CPA and I audit information system security. I'm not a stupid person. The red lights went off for me. I used my credit card, which supposedly Chase tells me protects me against fraud, to complete a transaction for some information I really wanted. I did not. It turns out none of the protections Chase said it had to offer me. So my complaint is really against Chase as well as Cash App. I completed a similar review of Chase on PIS consumers. So if you want to go look at that one, I tell this very same story against Chase. And then it's completely inappropriate in the United States for a financial institution, which Cash App is. Cash App is simply a phone app or a computer app that allows someone to complete a banking transaction. That means they should be transparent. They should be under some regulatory agency's purview, and not even accepting emails at their published complaints or inquiries email address is inappropriate. You can't talk to somebody from Cash App. They simply are not available. That's wrong. So all of those things made me realize, you know what? I feel like an idiot here, but I did everything I could do to cover myself in this transaction, and none of it worked. So I'm going to let everybody that I can know that it doesn't work, and that's why I did it. Don't use Cash App, and get in touch with your elected officials at all levels of government and let them know that you are aware of the fact that the financial system here in the United States, banks, everything, you name it, it doesn't matter. If it has anything to do with money changing hands, it's corrupt. It needs to be broken down and completely rebuilt in a manner that actually serves and protects consumers.